Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me. I see a moderator talking, but we cannot hear. Okay, we are trying to share the slide. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Okay, it seems now you can hear me and you can see me. Hello, everyone. We are trying to share the slides. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Arwa Santiago. I coordinate the work on gender equal economies, women's economic empowerment, and I am based in New York. So good morning from New York. And I am accompanied by Leona Verdadero, and we are, okay, I'm trying to share the screen. I see we are sharing the tool. I am trying to share the PowerPoint. Let's see if I can share the PowerPoint. It says I cannot share. Maybe Leona, if you can stop sharing, I can try to share the PowerPoint myself. Is it working?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Oh,
Great. Thank you, Aroa.
okay, you can see it. Okay, so we are ready. We are ready to share. So yes, what we are going to be presenting quickly to you is the beta version, the prototype we have developed on using artificial intelligence to monitor hate speech and to monitor the public mood around gender equality. So what the reason why we are doing that, I see it is not moving the PowerPoint on the main room. It doesn't seem to be working correctly. Anyway, I will go anyway without the PowerPoint. It doesn't seem to be moving on the room 9. So the reason why we decided to initiate the prototype was because we have identified that there is a big backlash against gender equality. This is happening all over the world, and we have seen with the UNDP's Human Development Index that advances towards gender equality are stagnant or reversing globally. So we see that since 2015, more than 100 laws have been proposed to restrict only women's citizens, for example. Together with this backlash, we see extreme conservative movements that are also trying to reduce women's rights. But at the same time, we see an opportunity because more than 7,000 demonstrations occurred only during the pandemic to request by women's movements an increase to support to the prevention of gender-based violence, to the increase of support on women. So we saw that there is, even though that there is a strong resistance to prevent this backlash, there is a strong push and interest from governments and civil society to advance gender equality. We see that an increase of hate speech and an increase of movements that are trying to I see now it seems it's moving now. Okay, fantastic. So we see that there is an increase also on these backlashes and on the resistances, on the social norms, on the public temperature that is trying to impede these advances towards gender equality, towards the sustainable development goals. So we thought it was really needed to understand more deeply what is this hate speech? What is the real temperature that we have in civil society, in the public, towards gender equality? So this comes from a vision where we aim to help governments to develop public policies that are, and now it seems we lost the PowerPoint, never mind. So this comes from the interest to support governments to advance public policies that are well informed by the actual reason of these backlashes and fight against gender equality. So we want policies that are informed by a full understanding on what social norms are, and what is preventing change in these social norms. So for that, what we is on UNDP's presence. We are present in 170 countries working. We have country offices in 145 countries, and in many of them, we are working on elections, and we are working um, on support to the expansion of democracies, to the expansion of civil society organizations. We also work a lot on supporting the institutions to build stronger gender responsive institutions. We have the gender equality seal for public institutions that actually looks at how these public institutions contribute to gender equality internally within their own human resources, as well as externally with their public. So we are seeing now in the screen the initiative in a nutshell. Um, what we are doing with this initiative first is to monitor, we track backlashes against gender equality through this artificial intelligence-based social media monitoring. And then data without use is useless, as other panelists have been also presenting. So it is very important that we find the correct use for this information, this data, to equip public institutions, civil society, citizens, and the media to understand what this hate speech against women, hate speech against gender equality is about, to understand, so then they can develop the appropriate measures to counter this backlash against gender equality and women's rights. So this is the context where this prototype of the tool has been developed. And Leona Verdadero, she is the AI specialist that has been working on the tool. So over to you, Leona.
Thank you so much, Aroa. And now I'm happy to take everybody through some of the details of our gender monitoring tool. And I hope you can hear me well. If not, please let me know. So just a brief overview. Why do we do social media analysis? So it's really to get data for gender analysis, to understand the national context, public opinion, also to serve as an early warning for prevention and early response to conflict, and as well as to inform, programming for developing anti-hate speech initiatives, as well as for advocacy to have evidence for effective content moderation as we work with tech companies. And next slide, please. And then, with respect to our social media listening tool, so it is powered by AI, as Aroa mentioned. So, their tool has the ability to support over 100 languages. It's able to detect hate speech against women and girls, which we know is an indicator of online gender-based violence and backlash against women's rights and gender equality. And this also helps us generate new data and insights to inform policymakers and work with civil society and other practitioners that can use this data to respond to backlashes. And how we work with across UNDP, so but on a global and a country level. So this is a global tool, but this also really serves to empower country offices to support their gender equality initiatives. It's able to be tailored to local needs. There's also support in overall data infrastructure and management. And also want to highlight that with regards to our methodology, it's very transparent because it's something that we built in-house in UNDP together with the SDG integration team. So we have control over the full methodology, and it's very transparent. And we are happy to share with everybody. And there's also potential support and capacity building as we work to implement this tool across country offices. And how we have been piloting this tool. So first, we are focusing on Twitter, and eventually also hope to expand to looking at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube data. But with respect to Twitter, so we're looking at it with respect to how we define hate speech according certain categories, and we're using both internal and external data sets. Internal data sets that we have defined across UNDP. For instance, with our colleagues in Latin America, we've defined a dictionary of insults that we are using to track, especially in Colombia. And we're also looking at categories that are very pertinent to gender policy making, such as education, employment, politics, reproductive rights, and gender-based violence. And then from here, so the AI, so we've implemented several machine learning models that can predict, the gender of the Twitter user. It's based on the username. Have a model predicting whether it's male or female. We're also looking at the sentiment of the tweet, whether it's negative, positive, or neutral. We can also do certain topic modeling techniques, and of course, identifying whether a tweet does indeed contain hate speech or not. And then also the important element here is, really with respect to the need for human validation. So we have been working with amazing UN volunteers and our country pilots who are who have manually reviewed the hate speech tweets identified by the AI to further validate, whether the model has been working correctly. So we have this feedback loop as we, continue to improve our methodology. And next slide, please. And so we'd also like to invite you to, and this is how our tool looks like. And so we invite you to visit, it is on UNDP Data Futures platform, or, on your web browser, whichever one you choose. If you put gender social media monitoring UNDP, you should be able to find it. So as we mentioned, we are working with 3 pilot countries, Colombia, Philippines, Uganda, and also emphasizing that the way we are tracking hate speech is in the local languages, since we know a lot of them are in slang and really using a lot of local vernacular type of speech. And with the next slide, please. We'd also like to focus on the results that we have been seeing so far with respect to our monitoring. So what we can see actually, so for instance, we have data from August 2021 up to the present. So it's an ongoing real-time monitoring tool that is updated on a daily basis. So we monitored over 2.5 million tweets, and out of which 15% of the tweets contain hate speech against women. And within those subset of 15% tweets, we found that 70% of them come from male users versus 30% from female users. And again, categories where hate speech is prolific, it varies across our pilot countries. So for Colombia, it's in violence, gender-based violence and politics. In the Philippines, it's with employment and politics. And with Uganda, it's in gender-based violence and employment. And then we're also able to look at, as we mentioned before, so we're looking at it in terms of sentiment. So for instance, we found that in Colombia, from December 2022 to March 2023, most of the tweets across the categories that we're looking at reflect a negative sentiment. So with respect to the public mood, with respect to education, politics, reproductive rights, and gender-based violence. And here it's also, we want to emphasize that we also look deeper into the actual text. So we're doing some text analysis of the actual language that we are using. And just to give an example in the next slide, so for Colombia, so you can see for those that speak Spanish, most of these are the words and the phrases mostly associated to mujeres or women in Spanish. So a lot of it is really related to, violation of human rights, sexual abuse, gender-based violence, femicide. And here there's also reference to Women's Day that happened early March, on March 8th. And also, so it's also something that we are doing to be able to dig in deeper and really understand, specific topics that people are talking about. And as Aroa mentioned, for the next slide, is it's also the most important thing is how we use this data. So some examples across different country initiatives. So essentially, we found three main ways that it's been used so far. So it's with respect to content moderation and advocacy. So it's creating partnerships with civil society organizations and tech companies. And we have excellent examples in Sri Lanka and Libya, and as well as it enables teams to design anti-hate speech messaging. So that's been done in Azerbaijan and Kenya, for instance. And lastly, with respect to policy dialogue in Colombia and Uruguay, where the data is used to work with legislations to tackle hate speech, and again to serve as evidence on how to engage with social media companies. And this is our last slide. So with respect to the next steps. So for now, we are in pilot phase, but very excited to roll out the tool across regions and countries. And also now we will be starting to expand our data coverage by also looking at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because we know that, depending on the country, a lot of the users are more on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So we need to make sure that the tool really does adapt to the country context, the social media context. And we'll also use this to develop more knowledge products and also key things that to inform prevention and protection initiatives and policies. So I'll end there for now. Thank you so much. And also passing it on to Aroa if she would like to add some more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leona. Yes, I think we can leave it here. We are very happy to follow up with any of you who would like to discuss anything else. Leona shared on the chat the link also, and we can go through that link or through the organizer. So over to the next one on the agenda item.
Thank you so much.